I know some of you are looking at the final touches of the Garuda rework, but let's discuss that tomorrow. I have the video now, but I just want to talk first about one of the things I am most excited about for this update, and that is the augment tweaks. There are about 16 augments that have received tweaks. These augments are those that aren't used by the community quite often, and a few of these are for our resident sandboy Inaros. I was very pleased when Digital Extremes have decided to give Inaros some love, and I was hoping that the augment tweak is just the start. There are two Inaros augments that have undergone some tweaking. The first is his elemental Sandstorm augment. Before, Sandstorm has a 50% chance of inflicting status effects based on the damage types and mods on an equipped melee weapon. After the recent tweak, Sandstorm now has a 100% chance of inflicting status effects. As well, Sandstorm receives a 50% increase to its range. What does this mean? In theory, it could make Sandstorm a lot more efficient because of the range, and this will allow you to trim down some of the mods intended on increasing the status chance, and replace it with other mods that will make the ability better. The other augment that has been tweaked is the Desiccation's curse. Before, killing a blinded enemy with a finisher has a 75% chance of summoning a sand shadow. Now, killing a blinded enemy with a finisher now has a 100% chance of summoning a sand shadow. Increased sand shadows damage by double. While I don't believe in aligned artificial intelligence in this game, as they are usually dumb, and that 2 times increase on their damage would probably be not worth it, but I was really into the 100% sand shadow creation, as it would be cool to create multiple minions with Inaros. A sand army would be a fun meme build that is also great in steel path levels because, well, Inaros has high health and you all need to just use a good weapon and something create sand shadows and you are good to go. While the augments are great theoretically, and on paper, the buffs that they received can potentially make the Warframe fun to play with, and, after years and years of counting, could we finally make Inaros abilities useful? Don't bet on it, sadly. I guess it's back to the full HP build for Inaros because even with the tweaks, the abilities don't perform well. Okay, let me explain. First off, let me try to explain why Elemental Sandstorm still doesn't help Inaros' third ability. Now, I did not form my Inaros, since trying out with the most important mods for an Elemental Storm build didn't quite cut it. The only thing you can add to this build is energy and survivability. The damage did go up, and I see different procs every time, but the kill speed of Sandstorm against high-level targets still is not enough to consider it as competitive with other spin-to-win setups in the game. In case you didn't know, Sandstorm takes the status that your melee weapon has. In my case, I have gone with Viral, Heat, and Slash, which are basically the most dominant status in terms of dealing with armored enemies. But this is not enough to kill enemies fast. The range is not even useful, because the ragdoll mechanic is still there. It's not that bad in tight areas like this Grenier tile set, but in open areas, you will have problems with Sandstorm as enemies will get thrown away by the ability. The only fix is to use Nidus Lava before even casting Sandstorm. However, is it even worth all the trouble just to make Sandstorm do constant DPS? In my opinion, it's not, and there is better setup that has high DPS compared to this one. The problem with Inaros is not survivability. As you can see on your screen, even with low health values, he still can take multiple hits from high-level targets. The problem is, we often rely on his stats and never used his abilities in a real mission. The only time we use him is for finisher builds, or we use the Negation Swarm augment to replace mods like Primed Sure-Footed. Speaking of his first ability, the augment tweak for Desiccation Curse is the same as the Elemental Sandstorm. The intent to buff it is good, but you still won't use it as a band-aid mod, as you are better off with the normal ability that can heal, blind, and give you finisher kills. The Sand Shadow is not even tanky enough, so you can use it as something to take away enemy aggression. First off, if Digital Extremes did try to give Elemental Sandstorm a feature that instead of ragdolling enemies, they will be sucked like a vacuum, then that would be great for the ability. For the Desiccation Curse augment, it would be much better if they made the augment proc per kill, and not just rely on finishers. For every enemy that is affected by his first ability, they will turn into Sand Shadow once they get killed by any means, whether it's from weapons or Warframe abilities. Simple tweaks like this would make the augments more interesting, and it would give some variety to Inaros' playstyle. Mind you, these are not the only augment tweaks out there, and I'll be reviewing all of them, giving you a clear view of whether the augment tweaks were good or bad, and possibly combos that you can create with them. So, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on the content we will be sharing. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.